Welcome to another episode of Underneath the City Lights with Eddie Dynamite. I'm your host, Eddie Dynamite, aka Ed Bradley of the streets, and I got another special one for y'all tonight, man. The air in South Carolina carries memory. In the marshes and pine woods, whispers still rise. Songs of survival, prayers and gullah tongue, recipes measured not by teaspoons, but by instinct and spirit. In the shadow of moss draped oak, the land itself remembers. It remembers Africans who braided seeds into their hair before crossing the ocean. It remembers native hands that showed which roots would heal and which would kill. And it remembers the root doctors, healers of the South who kept their people alive when the plantation system tried to grind them into silence. And from that living memory, a son of the Carolinas emerged. As a child, his lungs struggled for air until elders placed bitter tea to his lips and whispered to breathe. Those first sips were medicine, but they were also initiation, an introduction to a tradition that is much about survival that is about sovereignty. That boy became a man of many disciplines, a martial artist honing focus, a traveler walking African soil to reclaim knowledge, a healer who carries both science and spirit in his hands. He would found sacred roots in Somerville, South Carolina, part of apothecary, part sanctuary, where more than 200 herbs line the shelves in glass jars and bags where the smell of sage and the sound of ancestral drums seem to hang in the air. A place where people walk in broken and leave reminded that healing is not a product, but a path. He's an herbologist, a holistic nutritionist, a martial artist, a spiritual counselor, but more than titles, he is a torchbearer of an ancient lineage, a lineage that stretches from the villages of West Africa to the swamps of the Low Country to the present day fight for Black health and wellness. Tonight, we sit with Khet Waas Hutip, founder of Sacred Roots, keeper of plant wisdom, interpreter of African spirituality, and heir to the root doctor tradition. This is not just an interview, it's initiation to the old ways and to the stories of plants that outlived slavery, of roots that carry prayers, of medicines that refuse to die. Family, y'all welcome to the show. Khet Waas Hutip. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm blessed, man. Give thanks for life, man. How you feeling?
Man, I feel wonderful, man. I'm finally glad to have you on the show. You know what I'm saying? We was going back and forth for a minute, but
Man.
yeah, yes, sir. But I'm definitely glad to have you here. So, I mean, I like to jump right in because I don't want to waste your time. If you mind telling us, man, tell us exactly where you're from and give us a little bit about your childhood and upbringing, Khet.
Yeah, man. So from Charleston, South Carolina, grew up mainly in Somerville, South Carolina, and grew up like any other child, like playing outside, playing football, playing every sport, whatever sport was in, you playing it. Um, Running in the woods and blackberry hunting and crawdads and all these different things that a child would do. Back I grew up in the era where you know um not going outside was punishment. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
that's where I come from. So nowadays shit that's just reverse. That's crazy though. But
right.
so we just grow. I just grew up in that era, man. Just outside, man, having fun and doing things that really make you what you are today. Really, you know what I mean. And when I really go back and look at the past and running through the woods and all this, just playing with medicine. You didn't really know what really was, but you was playing with it. Like sweet gumballs and things like that, man. We just throw that at people, like the little sticky things like that. But we used to throw that at people, but it was actually medicine, but we didn't know that,
Right. Yes, sir.
Um, but yeah, man, come from a good home, you know what I mean, 2-parent household, you know what I mean, brother, sister,
Right.
tight family, from tight big family, on both sides. And yeah, man, just grew up just like anybody else probably grew up, man, back then.
Most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. So when you think back to that childhood time, what was and I know you mentioned about the different plants that you played with that was really medicine, but what was the first smell or taste of medicine that comes to you when you just think about those early times? Like what plant, what cup, whose hands had provided that to you, brother?
Yeah, like you got your aunt, I had my auntie, man. Praise be upon her. Back then, man, you had to take. We didn't do doctors like that, so you had to do sassafras. Back then, you child, you like, this shit nasty. You know what I'm saying? Castor oil.
Right.
Life everlasting, which
Mm,
wasn't really that bad to me, but like the one that I didn't like, back then but from some it always stick to me is that sassafras. You know what I mean? That's why I never liked root beer as well. Growing up, I hated root beer because it was made from sassafras. So
right. Right.
I hated that shit, man. I ain't gonna lie, but you grow to love it, and you understand why it was needed
Right.
back then. As you get older, you realize that, man, because I had real bad asthma growing up too, man, and
Mm,
so we had herbs in the house,
right.
um, and I didn't really understand why my parents would, hey, drink this, drink that, and it was trying to heal me from my asthma, and
Right. Right.
the little did they know, man. Sometimes I wouldn't drink it. I would run from I would run from the medicine.
Right.
Really. You
Right.
know, it's ironic now. But then I got tired of feeling that way. Right, you can't run fast because you're gonna start wheezing. Winter start coming now. Your lungs start to constrict, and um, and so, man, I said, man, I'm gonna do something myself. And by that time, I was like 14, 15, man, when I healed myself. Because what I did, I started going in the cabinet and making the tea myself, right? So I made it myself. I don't know. In my mind, it tastes better when I made it, right? Versus them. So I started making it, but I didn't know what I was doing. I would just take every herb that I thought that go together, and I would just put it in there, man. And I would drink it like 2-3 cups a day. Now I know, it was chickweed, slippery elm, life everlasting. Those were and yeah, that was those and fenugreek.
Mm,
Those were those particular herbs that I used to heal myself of asthma back then, man, like 14, 15 years old, man.
right. Right. Right.
And I would put it all together. I would just put it all in one pot, man, and just be drinking it. And see myself get better, I could see
Right.
myself. I was like, yo, I'm getting better, and where I grew up at, back then you had the brothers coming home, like my OGs now though, they coming home and now they got this new doctrine of the black man is God and this and that. And I'm like, yo, the black man is God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't never heard no, you hearing all this stuff and you
Right.
young, so but you outside. And so you just listening to them. You just listening to them talk, and they talking about the black man is God, the maker on the kingdom of the planet Earth and all that stuff, kicking real 5% lessons on Nation of Gods and Earth, what they would call it. And
Right. Right.
listening to that and you know, one of the guys was like, yo, you gotta stop eating cheese. You gotta stop eating that. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? I'm like, cheese, shit. I'm about to go eat some macaroni. Mama got macaroni cooked now. You
right.
ain't giving them no cheese,
Right. Right.
dairy. I'm about to eat some frosted flakes. You tripping? You know what I'm saying? And he's like, all right, but he said, yo, just stop it. I guarantee you gonna see a difference, blah, blah, blah. So I did it. You know what I'm saying? Back then, you know, you younger, you normally listen to the older folks. Back then, you listen to the older guys and it's just the older people in general. It was a little bit more rank and
Most
respect
definitely.
back then.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
sir.
so I would do it. I was like, all right, I ain't gonna do no cheese and no milk,
Hmm.
And so I didn't do it for like maybe like a month, man, maybe month, maybe longer.
Right.
Um, but no more wheezing, no, all this stuff just come, all this mucus, everything is coming. I remember this, and all this
Mm,
is coming out, and man, after that, I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating meat, and well, by this time, I'm about like 15, 16 then though.
okay.
But
Early in the
yeah, early. Back then they ain't had no like the imitation stuff, and
right. Right. Right.
no soy milk and almond milk and all that. So it was kind of just cold turkey. It was just
Right.
fruits, vegetables, rice, and you
Mm,
know what I'm saying, whatever. And Now I can't really eat the cabbage and the collard greens because mama's still gonna put them neck bones in the collard
Right,
greens, like
right, right,
So after a while, you come in the house, you like, yo, I don't eat that no more. Or, I don't eat this no more. And it's like, nigga, you just ate it last week. What you mean? Yeah, well, I don't eat it no more now. So, they thought it was a phase, and because I'm young, it's like, you
right,
don't
right,
even know what you talk about. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Andy, you
right.
don't been around them boys too long now. You calling yourself God and all that, you calling yourself God and all that stuff.
It's crazy that you said that because I had a similar experience when I was young. About I think it was like '96 when they had the Million Man March. So
Yeah,
me and my partners, we were caught up in that, man. We were so as soon as it was over, I told my mom, I said, "Listen, I'm part of the Nation of Islam. I'm not eating no pork, nothing." But my
right.
but my mom was like I said, kind of like you. She gave me, she gave me chicken, different other stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
besides the pork. She helped, but just even though it was sounded wild to them, she still
yeah,
encouraged that, you know what I'm saying? So you got to always have the people that encourage your
yeah.
thing you got going on. Right, right. I can understand that. Yes, sir.
That's a blessing, man. You bless your moms, man, because that's what it was, man. She after a
Hmm.
while, she realized like, oh, he serious about this,
Right,
So
right, right,
try to put my own little cabbage or whatever to the side with no meat in
right,
it,
right,
so I can still eat,
most
things like
definitely,
that.
most
So you
yeah,
know, and I think a lot of it had to do with because she seen that he getting better for real. Like he really don't
right,
got asthma no more. You know what I'm saying? I had real bad allergies too. With everything is clearing up. So
right,
she
right.
seen it was working. So I was like, yo, that was the missing piece, the
Mhm.
nutrition with the herbs. You know
With
what I'm
the
saying? Like,
right,
because if you just using the herbs, um, they're gonna be like a band-aid. They're gonna help, but
right.
it's like if you put in the same things that the herbs are trying to cleanse out,
Hmm.
then you're working against yourself.
Right. Before we even get deep into that science, because of course, I want you to break some of that down. And I was reading an article that you had in the Guardian, and it was telling me about your early healing practices. So before you are being called now a master herbalist. Who was the first person that you healed? Because I heard it was a Miss Mac that you helped
Yeah,
people with
yeah, yep. So this was an elder, man. She had diabetes. Matter of fact,
herbal.
she had
Mm,
diabetes. I would give her dandelion root. And I would give her the leaf too because it was right there. It was in her yard. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
So
Wow, wow.
it was easy. Just pick, pick this. You got to eat this too. We're gonna use the root, and you're gonna eat this and put this in the salad. You're gonna eat this. Um,
So at this time, with you telling her this, did you have any information? Were you reading about this? How did you know about this, or was it because of the elders that had taught you about this?
Yeah, so a little bit of both, a
Mm,
little bit of both, because so you got the elders that are telling you this,
mm.
teaching you just naturally. So now
Right,
you just naturally seeing and learning by sight. You know what I'm saying? And by action, you like, oh, okay, you can eat
right,
that. All right,
right,
you can eat this. Oh, I know you. Oh, you can eat this. Like you know what I'm saying. So now I'm just paying attention, being observant. But
right,
then, you know, they coming from a generation where everything is just almost in a sense innately passed down.
right,
Well, where we kind of coming from an era where we can research, we can go to the library, we can, what I'm saying, we can go to bookstores and like
right,
read
right,
and study on things. They ain't really had it. That's why, you know, we gotta admire our elders and uphold them because it's like, yo, like my teachers, like you gotta understand, like back then, like the information that they had, like just naturally, like come on, man, like you know
oh, yeah,
what I'm saying?
right,
That's
right,
crazy,
right,
And,
right.
so
And when you talking, it made me think even about my grandmother. And when I had a cough or a cold, she would give us the apple cider vinegar and the honey. It
yeah,
was never no cough syrup. Never no medicine. So
mhm,
you right, and I think like you said, I agree with you a little bit. A lot of that was also because they didn't have the money to buy those medicines, and it probably was not as many actual black doctors. You know what I'm saying, that they probably really trusted with going
yeah,
through. I had a brother on a few weeks ago speaking about prostate health, and that was one thing that we spoke about, that going back even to early times, when early medicine, they use a lot of the black brothers and sisters to practice on their bodies, you know what I'm saying? So that caused us with a lot of distrust with the medical system. So that
Yeah,
caused us to really go back to our original, what I'm saying, herbs and roots and things like that. Yes,
that's right.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yo,
Yes, sir.
man, my grandmama told me, man, back in the day, like, when they was young, and she, matter of fact, she took my mama to the doctor, but back then they wouldn't allow us in the doctor. You had to go to the vet to get seen. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, basically, fuck that. Cause I'm sorry, I ain't because
No, 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 no. Hey, this ain't no Sesame Street show. Say no.
yeah, because I can get sometimes I get
That's
comfortable.
real. You being real. I want you to be real. Yes, sir.
Right. So you know she would take them out. Like she'd be like, "Nah, we ain't going to no damn doctor. How we waiting on the? We want to get seen, but we gotta sit next to the damn dog to get, you know what I'm saying, to get seen. So a lot of that. So just to keep their dignity, you know what I'm saying, we had to rely on the land because we ain't going in on the veterinary. Like a lot of people don't understand, and this wasn't long ago. You see what I'm saying? So we gotta understand, like this was not long ago that these people wouldn't even allow us into the
Mm,
hospitals like that. So we had to rely on the land, you
right,
know.
right.
Um, but yeah, that's what happened, man. So after a while, I my bad, go back to Miss Mac though. But yeah,
Right.
so after a while, like yeah, so you know, I would give a Gymnema as well though. Gymnema. So I learned about Gymnema. That was a good herb. It's called Gymnema sylvestre. That's the botanical name, but you
Mm.
use that to break up sugar in
Oh.
the body,
Mm.
right? So using that along with just changing her diet, no more white starchy foods, whether white bread, white flour, white sugar, like all of that stuff. Like she listened,
Right.
because she was seeing results. Because obviously she going to the doctor. The doctor was like, "Yo, whatever you doing, it's working." Blah blah blah.
Right.
Um, back then, they wouldn't tell you how they was getting healed, because they elders. So
Right.
you know, it was almost a certain fear too. Because remember now, we used to keep our shamans or our root doctors and things like that in secrecy,
Mm.
right? So just to protect them, right?
Right. Right.
Um, so it was kind of like word of mouth type thing. So she never would tell them how she was doing it. It was just getting done.
Getting
And
done.
after a while, man, boom, it reversed. It reversed. And matter of fact, she gave me my first $100. Man, she gave me $100. I wouldn't take it from her for not, because back then I just was giving her just I just wanted to help. I didn't care
Right.
about no bread and like that.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And back then I was moving and shaking anyway, so it's like you ain't got no money. I don't need that. Like you know what I'm saying? But
Right. Right.
her whole thing was, no, you gonna take this, you
Mm.
gonna get out the street that
Mm.
way, and this is what you gonna do. This your call. I was like, dang.
And that almost prophesied to your store. She was basically, what you're doing now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You're right. Right.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
That's
That's
dope.
right, man.
That's
That's
dope.
right. And so that was what happened, man. Like the almost like the beginning. So
Mm.
yeah, maybe I can make money off this or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't my first intention. I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't think about make no money off no herbs or
Right.
such. Not that type of herbs.
And
Anyway.
that,
You know what I mean?
so I see you now. Like I said, you are a very spiritual brother. So let me ask you this question: for you, where does Gullah spirituality meet clinical herbalism?
Oh man, everything about it is clinical herbalism because most of these clinics, if you want to say, or these doctors, these hospitals, these medical facilities, they're using or extracting the chemicals from the plants that we use anyway. You see what I'm saying? So instead of using aspirin, right? We just go to the white willow tree, right? We go to the white willow tree and we shave off the bark,
Mm.
help with us with our headache or help with any type of pain or toothache or something like that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
what they do, they take that same bark and then they'll extract what they call salicylic acid. They'll extract the salicylic acid out of it, and now they're gonna make an aspirin, a little white pill called an aspirin, right? So
Right.
you understand? So it was always so it just letting you know that the Gullah was always first, or just the herbal part of things were always first. We gotta understand that the first form of medicine didn't come out to the 1930s.
Mm,
You know what I'm
mm,
saying? When we talk about John D. Rockefeller and all that, that
right.
just this is new. You
Mm,
know, before that, even the hospitals or these medical doctors or whatever, they were more geared towards the holistic side of things. You
wow.
see?
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
So they
So
trying to change that. Yeah.
so give me because I know because and we talking about the spirituality also. So give me an example of a ritual or a prayer that you pair with a remedy. You know, because I know, like I said, I know you practice, you know, spirituality, and you giving brothers that type of information when they come into the shop. Is there a pair? Is there a ritual or prayer that you pair with a remedy when you subscribe something to someone?
Yeah, sure. So if you not a particular player, right? You could just pray
Mhm.
more so to your ancestors, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And say, yo, and then what you want to do, what I normally do, right, is I call on the healer within my lineage,
Right.
right? You want
Mhm.
to call on a specific ancestor. You don't call on, Uncle Bobby who was on the corner and he ain't know nothing about no healing, right? So you want to call if
Right.
you call on
Right.
those healers within your lineage to invoke that power of this plant. And you talk to the plant, right? You talk
Mm,
to the plant. You tell the plant, you give your intentions to the plant. Hey, this is what I want to do for so and so.
right.
Please help this individual with the power, unleash the power that you have in you. You
Oh, that's
understand?
heavy. That's
You
heavy.
talking to the plant. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So, so that's a simple ritual. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it don't take much. A ritual could be
Hmm.
them making that cup of tea.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Every day. That's a ritual. Anything that becomes habitual becomes a ritual
Mm,
for you to do.
to do.
Um,
Right.
Certain things you could do. You could burn hyssop. You can burn and we call it different type of bitter herbs or bitter plants, right? Mugwort for ancestral communication. These
Mm,
things that help to invoke these particular energies and powers to these plants to help with the healing process, But it's more so letting these plants know your intentions,
right.
why are you going to use them, and ask permission to help with the healing process. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. So what are some examples of plant knowledge shared between African and indigenous communities in the Southeast that you still see in practice? Like besides what you're doing, what do you see of those some of those old rituals that sometimes that's still around us that we don't even pay attention to?
Man, so I mean, libations, right? We could say something similar to libation, right? Libation is giving almost energy, right? Water is a form of communication too, right? The ancestors communicate through water. You
Mm,
understand? So
mm,
that's the importance of having water on our altar as well, because
right.
the water acts like a portal. Like so, example when we talk about the Congo tradition, right, or the Bakongo tradition, they have what they call the Yoa or the King of Deer Congo. It's a circle with a cross in the center of it, and that line right there that's in the center that represents what they call a Kalunga line, or that cosmic ocean, right, or this cosmic waves. And this is this water that separates the living, what they call a Kuinseki, to the Ku and Pimba, or what they call the ancestral realm, right? This is the only thing that connects them. So we put water on that altar, or we make libation, because this is a form of communicating, right? But we using it through what we'll call water, or cosmic water, right? Or the cosmic ocean, primordial, what they call primordial waters. All of this is the same thing, talking about this water, right? You came from water, right? So everything when we talk about is going to represent that life. So we still keep those traditions even to the day, even subconsciously, even if the cat on the corner, I don't know, when we pouring out for the dead homies or whatever, that's libation that we pouring out for our ancestors, right?
Mm-hmm.
These things are what you want to say epigenetically encoded in us, right? So there's certain things that we just do unconsciously without knowing. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's one example. That is many examples. Like
right,
but
right, right.
that's
That,
one.
that's a major one. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely one I promise you the average man probably don't even pay attention to, especially when you said about pouring a little something out for the homie on the corner, or
Right,
sometimes when we pour it out right now, we'll invoke their name. We'll even say their names, you know what I'm saying, when we pour it out. So
right,
you exactly right, brother. So I saw you tell a story, like I said, going on into the article that I read, and you said oral histories say some seeds travel in braids or beads during the Middle Passage.
mm.
Now, how do you present these stories when you're teaching? Because I know you have classes. Do you present them as history, as metaphor, as truth? Because right now, we got a lot of games where they playing where they want to say, there was no transatlantic slave trade. You got brothers with that type of, ideology. You know what I'm saying? So when you presenting this information, do you make sure that you teaching this history at your classes when you giving them the game about any herbs?
Yeah, because that is you can just look at our phenotypes and say, in no way we ain't African. Like, what we talking
Right,
about here? This
right,
ain't. I don't understand how this get to be a conversation.
right,
I mean, my elders tell him we was here and we was there. Hell, you could
right.
you
Mm-hmm.
you could shake a tree and a black man gonna fall out. Like we were
Right,
everywhere. Like
right.
you know what I'm saying. So there's no way around it.
I got an OG. He like to say, "Black man ain't from." He said, "A black man ain't from Africa. Black man from planet Earth." You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
We been
That's
all over.
right.
Right, right,
That's
right,
right. We've been
right,
everywhere. It's
right.
remnants of us everywhere, man.
Sir,
So
sir.
will I delve into the whole topic of I mean I personally don't think the way they taught it, I kind of don't believe in the middle passage. I ain't gonna hold
Right,
you. I don't
right,
think
right, right,
we
right,
would be able to make it.
right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? But
Right. And we
if
got to think, like you say, and thinking logically. And doing the
yeah,
research, we see any ship that any carried anybody. It wasn't that many, 2, 3, 4, 500 people on those
yeah,
ships like that. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It
yeah,
wasn't-
yeah,
Right, right, right,
yeah.
right, right, right.
And then you can look at us coming from. They're gonna make that stop because you think they made a stop through the Caribbean. They made a stop in South America. Remember, South America? No, it's just right in Africa. Is right there.
Right there.
So that's a shorter trip.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can come, and then they can come straight up. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Into the Americas, and so
right,
we ain't gonna get into say we
right,
it
right,
ain't happened now. That's just bullshit, right?
right,
But
right. And then, like you said, we circumnavigated the globe before, because like I said,
yeah,
they got current that'll take you straight from right off the coast of Africa right here, bring you right on. You don't even got to row the boat. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Stuff
Right,
like that, and you just giving the white man way too much credit. Like that's just too much credit. Man. I'm
right,
sorry,
right,
I'll never give them that much credit. I'm
right.
sorry.
I agree. I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Um, but yeah, so you got to think like our currency and a lot of things with like beads, seeds, things like that. Anyway, like necklace, we people wear seeded necklaces right now. They don't even realize these
Right.
seeds that you could pop that necklace and plant it. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
a
Wow.
lot of these stuff we brought, you know, with us just innately, right? I did a herb walk, man, at Dorchester County Park in Somerville, and
Mm,
I was amazed to see so many West African plants. I was like, why is this
mm,
plant here, right?
mm,
Why
mm.
is this plant here? Like, you know what I'm saying? They had indigo. Um, it's another plant called vetch or crown vetch. That's a West African plant. How'd that get here, right?
Right.
So the ranger, you know what I'm saying? He came by, a white man gonna be nosy, so wonder what we doing, right? So I told him what we was doing, whatever, and he was like, well, it was I told him about that. And he was like, man, it was because it's an old fort, right? The park used to be an old fort where the English would come, but they would obviously have they captured enslaved Africans, right? And it would be like a market too. So that gave me my answer. I was damn, that's the answer I was looking for too. So because I didn't know that at the time, right? You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I knew Africans walked on that particular part of land, that let me know, oh, this how they got here. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
these stories like that, and that's just history. You know what I'm saying? So these plants traveled. You know, they traveled, and just so happened that the South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, parts of North Carolina, we have the particular climate to germinate and grow these plants still,
Right. So, and like you said, that make a lot of sense, especially with our climate type. And thinking of just even thinking about that. How do you and just going on what you were just saying about just uh, uh the suffering, the different things, you know what I'm saying? We were talking earlier about the different situations, the tribulations black people had to go through early with the medical system. How do you responsibly teach about enslaved people's pharmacy without romanticizing the suffering? You know what I'm saying? Because like you said earlier, we know they add a little extra stuff into the history. You know what I'm saying? So without romanticizing that suffering side, how do you responsibly teach that? And what boundaries do you set in your class as far as it goes with that?
far as what now? I don't understand.
Okay, all right, okay. When you teaching about those early days, like those early medicines, those early herbs
Mhm.
that our enslaved brothers and our ancestors used earlier, how do you teach that without romanticizing just the suffering that they had going on during the time? Do you just bring it as and what I mean by that, do you bring it as, okay, when you deliver in the class, as it is a history or a given or I don't know the word I'm looking for. I don't want to say a secret because it's just information that we passed on to each other. Do you present it as that, or in your class do you present it as more or less they had to use these herbs, or these herbs were used because of the situations that was going on as far as the seriousness of of enslavement?
Yeah, so it's not. No, it's just it just passed down information that came from most particularly West Africa. I know and I even got a Kemetic name, but
Right.
reality of it is my
Hmm.
family from West Africa, right? So
Right.
most of us came from West Africa, but this was knowledge that was already in us when we came. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's one of the main reasons why they brought us, right? Because we could already do everything, like
Mm.
even with the rice, right? Right, the rice plantations and things like that. We already knew how to do that,
Right. Right.
But
Right.
when it came down to the medicines, it was already there. It was more so finding what would be the equivalent plant. You
Mm.
understand? To what we had over there. What is the equivalent plant that we
Right.
got here
Okay.
that we could use, right?
Right. Okay. Right.
And so this is where some of the Africans that came over, this
Hmm.
is where the knowledge and the information get shared between those that came over and then the indigenous ones that was there, that
Okay.
was already here. You
Right.
see, indigenous people, I ain't saying we wasn't here either. I'm saying that don't knock that we came over here too. But anyway, right? So
Yeah, but I like that because that's what I meant. I mean, you bringing the information without bringing, you know what I'm saying? Even though we suffered and during those times, you don't have to go into all of that, those heavy stories when you got your class. You just teaching basically just the medicine, the science. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it's the science of it.
Right.
So it's just more so knowing the equivalency, right? And we learned that a lot from the indigenous people that were already here, right? So
Right.
if we got let's say West Africa, let's say they got a plant, they got bitter leaf, right? They got bitter leaf over there, right? They're gonna say, okay, well, damn,
Hmm. Hmm.
where's the equivalent here? What can I use here? We would say, well, we got yellow dock, We got well, what we got? We got mugwort, we got wormwood. You know what I mean?
Mm,
The bitter herbs that can still help with digestion, right? So we had our own plants, but we had root, like but we had to figure out okay which one's which, right?
right, right, right.
So we took our information and we still had the information, and then we would taste it. You know what I mean? We taste something.
Mhm.
I still do it today. I was like, "What the hell is this? How does it taste?" And
Right,
it just enough so I don't damn kill myself, but just enough to you could taste if it's gonna be toxic or not enough to be like, "Oh shit, that ain't good," and spit it out. You know what I mean? But so
right.
a lot of times too, we did that as well. And remember, we had the information that these plants would talk to us. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? We can't take that out. So these plants could talk, and they would let us know, yo, I could be used, or no, don't fuck with me, whatever. But
Right,
we had that type of communication in between these plants before. Obviously, it was beaten out of us, and some things you just couldn't beat out of us. You know what I
right,
mean? At the end of the day, too.
mhm.
You know.
Right, right,
Hell, the
right.
slave master would come to us too, right? The slave
Right,
master came to the root doctor too before he came to his own doctor.
right,
He would go to the root woman or the root man, you
right.
know?
And I'm glad you segue into that. Um, the because we know our look because I've always grown up hearing about root doctors, even up to today. You know what I'm saying? Even the present time. Even though we got hospitals and all this other type of stuff now, but the Low Country has a storied lineage of root doctors. So, what aspects of that tradition inform your practice?
Man, you just grew up seeing it.
Mm.
You grew up seeing it. You ain't know why mama throwing salt in the corners and at the door.
Mm.
Why we hanging in that horseshoe over the door? Why we
Mm.
got the cinnamon broom by the door?
Right,
You
right,
understand what I'm saying? Why are we blowing a kiss at this red bird right now? Like,
right,
you understand what I'm saying? All of these things is just you grew up seeing it. It was, you didn't know it was roots or whatever, right? We didn't know what it
right,
was.
right,
We just
right.
knew we did it and it worked. We didn't know why. Though we hear, oh, you gotta cook, you gotta make your hoppin' john and your collard green. And all of that is magic. You see what I'm saying? All that was a part of magic. So
Right.
we didn't necessarily call it that. You know what I'm saying? I think that was more so a European term, and then because they want to call you witch doctor and all the different terms, trying to be derogatory terms, right? But
Right, right, yes, sir.
we didn't call it that. You know what I'm saying? It was just that's what you did, and that's what would work. That's what you set up your altar. Even if you didn't call it an altar, you knew that this was grandmama, this was your great grandmama, this was your great grandfather right here. They was all on the walls, and then we had all we just it was something we did, you
Right,
know. Yeah,
right,
wasn't, but again, that's genetically inherited from our motherland to that we
right.
brought here. You know what I'm saying? It was just always our part, a part of us. And so it's just a matter of
Mm,
passing it on. And it's a matter of passing it on because that's the only thing there too is like, um, a lot of the elders back then when we was growing up and we're seeing that stuff, they didn't explain it, you know,
right, right,
why
right.
this, or why this works, why does this work? You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm,
um, some of it is obviously faith based, and then some of it is
right.
science based, right? You know,
Mhm,
burn sage. Why people burn sage? People can't tell you why they burn sage other than tell you
right.
that get rid of evil spirits, negative spirits, this and that, right? But if you really look
Mm,
at the science of sage itself, sage release when you burn it, it releases negative ions into the air that kills off
mm,
the
mm.
positive ions or those radicals in the air, which purifies the air. And obviously, if it reduces the positive ions in the air, it's gonna put you in a good mood now because you breathing this stuff as you walk into this room. You see what I'm
Make
saying? So that's
yes,
the
sir.
science part of it. But
Mm,
if you want to say, hey, it removes negative energy out of the room, technically you're still right. You know
right,
what I'm
you
saying?
right, right. You're still
You're
right.
still right. You know, you might can't explain it, but that doesn't take away that it was right. The Dogon couldn't explain why it was a serious B, right? But
True.
it took 100 years later that
Mhm.
technology caught up and realized, like, damn, these Africans really saw with their naked eye that it was a serious B. You
Sir.
understand what I'm saying? So a lot of things our ancestors did and we do sometimes don't need to be explained. Sometimes it's spirit. You know, Elder told me one time, everything ain't gonna be in no book. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? He
right,
said, everything ain't you ain't gonna learn everything from no book. I said,
right,
yeah,
right.
you're right. Now I understand. I was like, yeah, you're right. You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? So,
That makes a lot so if you could put one misunderstood element of root work on a classroom whiteboard and teach it properly, what would that be?
that is negative. That is
Mm,
devilishment or bad or you know what I'm saying, whatever term you want to use. But
mm-hmm.
um we never not saying that it can't be used for bad, but anything can be used for good. It's God and devil, right? Why? So that's the world. Everything is positive and things are negative. So I can use medicine for good, or I can use negative medicine for bad. You know, and that's the way that's life. You know, that's what the balancement. Everybody knows. Every culture knows that you have a yin and a yang, or um, you know, Hutip and Isfat or whatever other names you want to use, right? Um, so I would just tell them that, it's not all to be negative. You can use this for good or you can use it for negative. You can use it for negative, but everything else can be too, you know?
That's true. That's definitely true. So going on to the next, I want to talk about because that was very interesting. You were just talking about how how you go about getting sourcing your herbs and checking out your different things. So you stock a real broad inventory, including Caribbean imports, local harvests. So how do you verify identify the potency or contamination risk, or how much people should take, or how much is it because of just the learning that you got, or does that also come with experience, or have you also tried all of these herbs yourself in different capacities?
Yeah, so a little bit of both, a little bit of all that you said. I
Okay.
tried all of them. It don't need for me to, because now you're disrespecting the plant because you
Right.
picked it and you ain't even gonna use it. What the hell you picking me for if you ain't gonna use me? You see what
Right.
I'm saying? So,
Right.
you definitely want to again almost like make a pact, man, with nature. With like, hey, look, I'm gonna use you for this, and
Mhm.
you always pay the earth. Whatever you pick up, you pay the earth. You know what I'm saying? Where's a couple pennies, something. You just got to put something back down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
To
mm,
offer the
mm.
earth just to give reverence and thanks for even allowing me to, harvest you.
Yes, sir.
You never want to over harvest because you gotta understand that it's everything is still you are one with nature too. So that means the plants still, I mean not the plants, but the animals still gotta eat, the insects still gotta eat, other humans still gotta eat. You know what I'm saying? So you never want to over harvest. You want to mainly get what you need, right, to make your medicines and things like that, right? Um, when it comes to what else? When it comes to spotting out which plants are no good or not good, most of that comes from experience, um, as well. Um, if I go to the Caribbean, it's certain. I usually have somebody with me or something because I don't know all the plants in the Caribbean and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, so some I can notice, and some I know because some can grow over here too, right? But
Right, right.
I get more information from them, and how do you use it? How y'all use it? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gonna try to use it this way. We use it this way, but I'm gonna try your way because y'all way sound a little interesting, or however, you know what I mean?
Right,
So a lot of that comes from just information and learning from the native people or wherever I may go to harvest plants too. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Especially when, like I said, when we in the Caribbean or something, and I'm bringing back plants, it's like I want to know how to use that, so it could be effective for our people over here.
so doing that, is it Now I just saw you just post something recently about talking about the duck flower, because everybody just talking
Yeah.
about the duck flower. So is it also besides that, and I want you to break it down to the family, because for those that may not have seen it, you know what I'm saying, because you
Okay.
had some very good information about that. But is it also besides that, is there also another plant that people always speak about but you refuse to carry, and because of the safety and your own personal ethics, besides the situation with the duck flower?
Yeah, it's a few. I don't sell, like, say, for like turmeric. I don't sell turmeric. I don't use turmeric.
Why is that? Why is that? Because they always talk about turmeric this,
Yeah, I
turmeric.
know, right? Because it has polymers in it. Polymers. You use polymers to make plastic. See what
Ah,
I'm saying? So I'm like, well, shit, what is this doing in my body? What is this? I ain't supposed to take this. So I don't sell it. You know what I'm saying?
right, sir. Yes, sir.
Another one, chlorella. Chlorella, is a powder which they call algae, but it's not. It's technically science. It's not really algae though. It's more like a what they call a cyanobacteria. It's more like a bacteria than it is like algae. And how you use it, first you got to crack the cell wall. So you got to put it through this machine and pulverize it until the cell wall cracks in order for it to be ingested by humans, right? So my simple reasoning is like, yo, if you can't pick it up and just eat it, nature must be want us to eat the shit. So I never sold it, because I was like, well, maybe we ain't supposed to eat it. We got to put it through all this process just to eat it, you
Right,
know. So
right.
I never used that. NASA used that to clean like air and stuff like that out in space.
Mm,
When they're in space, they use
mm.
the chlorella or that algae or they call it algae, but like again, they use that to cleanse like the air and stuff like that. So
Wow.
I don't sell that because I don't think it was never meant to be used by humans.
Are humans, right?
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
As far as the duck flower go, the duck flower is what they call Aristocolia grandiflora, which obviously when you look up aristocolic acid, you're going to see that it's a carcinogenic, right? And so this carcinogenic is damage into the liver, damage into your kidneys. It will spread cancer. It will, if you, especially if you're already dealing with kidney issues, liver issues. That's definitely not something that you would want anyway. You're going to make matters worse. Uh,
Right.
but I was in Costa Rica, man, amongst the Bree people.
Mm,
Those are indigenous people of Costa Rica,
right.
and we on in the jungle and going through, whatever, and pointing out plants and things like that. And I saw the duck flower. I was like, oh, yo, look at the duck flower, whatever, whatever. And he was like, no good. I was like, no good. I said, man, we use that in America, man. That's what we be using, to detox real quick and all that stuff. Like he said, y'all crazy, And he saying this in his language now. I'm getting somebody translated. He said, yo, America's crazy. I said, oh shit, and so, but what it was he was saying that, it's toxic. It's real toxic. It's no good to take. They only use the vine of it, not the flower, but the
Mhm.
vine. So I sell the vine, which we call contribo, right? But I don't sell the flower part of it because it's toxic. And so once I started doing the research, I was like, damn, that is, you know what I'm saying? So this is what he talking about,
You know, what, and not even to interrupt the story, because
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
definitely mean to interrupt you, but that's the one of the main reasons that I pushed so hard to make sure that I had you on the show, because I myself, and I know plenty of people now, say, especially since the COVID, that's getting into more herbs and bitter herbs. But one thing that I noticed, and I told my wife, I said, I know also that it's a business also, right? You know what I'm saying? But I said, one thing about Khet that I saw, I said, this brother is he got integrity. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of brothers right now are pushing the herbs, and this is something that we know that's not discussed, because we got a lot of people that sell herbs, people that claim to know this and know that. But when I watch your page, or I watch any platform that you got, you just like on the show, man, just for us getting started. I mean, every answer that you gave us so far, you educating us as you go, because you a master teacher, brother. So
Appreciate
so
that.
most definitely, that's unspoken word. But what you teaching, brother, your integrity, you know what I'm saying, and the fact that you care about the people, you didn't suit me as a brother, because some people out here, I mean, I see them got the herbs and the things in there, but they'll tell you something totally different. You know what I'm saying? I've been to a shop up here. They still selling the duck fly. I didn't even ask these questions, but I watch your show, and then I watch what your platform, and then I'll go in these spots and I look around. I say, you know what? I can't say, this ain't what you're supposed to have. This not what you're supposed to deal with. But these brothers, they not giving you the same information. To me, it's more about money for them. You know what I'm saying? So what? How where do you get that piece of you, bro, that cares so much about the people, and I know we all need money to live, and I'm not saying that you don't care about your business. I know you do. You know what I'm saying? But what makes you be so genuine, you know what I'm saying, to have that divine heart just to deal with the people versus you worried about the capitalism, bro? What pushes you to help us as much? Just and I want you to go back to we're gonna talk about the herbs, but
Yeah.
that's one thing about you, bro, that I really, really, really respect, family.
Man, listen, man, gold never lacks in the eyes of the leopard, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
so
mm.
I don't worry about the money. And I always teach my students that, like, yo, this ain't about the money. You're gonna get the money, but if this what you signing up for, you signing up to serve. You understand what I'm saying? So you
Yes,
sign
sir.
up to serve. This is not a get rich scheme and this and that, but the money will come because the energy that you put now. If it's with integrity, if it's what is you putting out good, you're gonna get good, right? So, you're never gonna lack, right? And it's simply because your integrity is intact,
Right,
and you are you're putting the people first. But like I said, you here to serve anyway. This is what this is about. It's about you serving,
right,
So, what else you gonna do? And not only that, if you it ain't this ain't a hospital, right? This ain't a doctor. This ain't I'm gonna give you a pill. You got high blood pressure. Okay, I'm gonna give you this pill. Now you're on this high blood pressure pill for the rest of your damn life. No, they coming to you. They got high blood pressure. You about to give them dandelion root, hibiscus, alfalfa, nettle. You're gonna heal them of high blood pressure. So it's a chance they might not damn come back because they're healed. You see what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
So
mm,
it just it's up to you, right? But
right,
9 times out of 9, they're gonna say, "Damn," you know what I'm saying? I want to do it for preventative health, and that's really what I like to teach is like prevent it. Don't wait to get sick then want to use herbs. No, take the herb to prevent yourself from even having to deal with any type of illnesses and whatnot. You see,
right,
so
right, right.
yeah, so it's just about serving, man, putting the people first anyway. So,
Yeah,
and then it's like I'm me and I got my family and so I'm like, damn, I wouldn't give that to my family, so I can't get that to you. Yeah, I ain't taking that shit, so I ain't gonna recommend it to you if I ain't gonna take the shit. So that's how I look at it
right,
too.
right. And even going with the duck flower, when I saw you speaking on your platform, that's exactly what you said. You said, "Man, I used it before, but too." But and just going back to going back to that, just thinking about what you said while you were speaking, I was thinking about all the interactions and the reactions that people say if they had from taking this duck flower, right?
Mhm.
Throwing up all night, mucus coming out their nose, the worst pain in their life, but feeling better the next day. But to me, I'm like you, just like you said, it's other herbs that you got that can do the same thing, that don't give you
Yeah,
that, don't put you in that type of pain. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
right.
Right, right,
Right.
right, right. So and the fact that you went and changed and took the duck flower out, now you carry the vine. That's real dope, because I never hear nobody talking about the vine. So that just goes to show your intelligence and how you connected with this whole thing, brother. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So going back to that, sticking on that now, I'm gonna talk about the most common, and they got a lot of you see everybody selling. I even seen sea moss in a dollar store. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
so and one thing I like to tell, and like I said, I learn a lot from you. One thing I like to tell my wife, because we was in the store just before I get into the sea moss. She saw some sea moss NyQuil, right? She's like, no, excuse me, elderberry NyQuil. She's like, oh, they got the elderberry NyQuil. I said, listen, I said, and I repeated what you said. I said, they can put elderberry on there if it's a TT% in there. I said, you don't know how much elderberry in there. You don't even know if it's even elderberry in there for real. I remember you saying that. That's why you don't use those type of products. You use actual elderberry syrup. You make your own thing. So, and that's going back with the sea moss, because you see that in the drinks. Everybody they claim they got this, and it's so popular. But what, as buyers that's out here and consumers, and because we got older people, they own it heavy. I got an aunt right now, man. She swear by it, but she buys it from these flea market. They got the fruits because she don't want to take the taste. But I said, part of the taste is the bitter, the nasty taste. That's part of taking herbs. You know what I'm saying? You got that's like getting a tattoo, because that's the pain come with it. You know what I'm saying? So what us as consumers and buyers look for in labeling and handling when we dealing with this sea moss, and what are the red flags that we should look for? Because we don't know, should we sweeten it? Should we not? Should we buy it from here, buy it from there? Where it come from? Can you give us a little game on that, brother?
Yeah, so sea moss, it shouldn't be real thick, rubbery, and salty. Like it should almost, some gonna be dry, some should be thin, but it shouldn't be that real thick with big salt chunks and all kind of shit in it. That's a quick red flag right there. Let you know. Not saying that it ain't gonna have salt, but it shouldn't be like I seen someone like just big ass just salt chunks, like table salt. I'm like, damn, like what is that? Shouldn't be rubbery. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you soak it, it should still be real thin, like you know what I mean? It shouldn't be real thick and like a real thick rope, like almost like, mostly them Asians sell that stuff, man. I did a video on this talking about shit, probably 10 years ago, man. I did a video on that, man. Because I wanted to show the difference between the two, you know what I'm saying? Because now you got what do you call it? Pool grown, where they can create an environment in the pool for the sea moss to grow too. So it's different ways that they grow the sea moss now, but it should be real kind of real thin, And then you got different types of sea moss too. Like, you got the Graciolera, which is more so in the going to grow more like warmer climates, like in the Caribbean and stuff like that. Jamaica, Honduras, St. Lucia, and then you got the Conjures Crispus, which grows more in colder water, right? So it's different species of sea moss. It don't matter which one you use. Right. You know what I mean? I think, and it's just my theory, right? But being that we're more, genetically closer to the equator, I always sell more like the Graciolera or the Caribbean sea moss because, obviously we from hotter, warmer regions, so that probably would be more better for my genes versus the Conjures Crispus. But if you get the Conjures Crispus, get the Conjures Crispus too. You know what I'm saying? I don't think either one is better, better than the other, It just makes sure the shit real more so than anything.
Right. And that's the most important. That's what you want to know, like you said. And I noticed that too. Like you said, the Asians, they give you anything. They don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah. Right. So going into a little more into the spirituality. This is another question I wanted to ask you. So protection and cleansing, I hear you speak about that a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a part of a lot of our Southern traditions. You know what I'm saying? So what do you teach about spiritual hygiene that's practical? You know what I'm saying? And non-fear based, where you don't scare them. Some people come in, I know they Christians, you know what I'm saying, got different things. So how do you tell them about spiritual hygiene as far as cleaning yourself spiritually, your mind, your body, without scaring them away, you know what I'm saying, because of their religious ideology?
I mean, if God created us, right, in his or her image,
Yes,
right,
sir. Yes, sir.
and likeness, and he blew the breath of life, you know what I'm saying, through the nostril, and you became a living soul. You became that, right? So that means that God would dwell in us, right? So,
Right.
well, would you disrespect God to dwell in a dirty house? You know what I mean?
Mm,
In a dirty temple, or will you have something that's more inviting to God? Like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
even if when we, remember when mom and daddy get home, you know, you bullshit that whole day, but you made sure that their house was clean by the time they got home, though, right?
right. Right.
So
Right.
it's the same way, but you want to make sure that house clean, because you don't want no problems, Um, so spiritual cleansing, if a Christian, um, they anoint themselves, right? They anoint themselves with oil, right? Olive oil, they anoint themselves. So
Right.
you anoint. So when we do spiritual baths, they do baptisms, right? When they
Right.
dunk you in the water and all this stuff, they do all this stuff. I don't care how they do it. You see,
True.
so
What you're saying is true. That's very true. That's very
yeah.
true.
So when we make our spiritual baths, using particular herbs, and it depends on how you want. You can use a spiritual herb, different herbs to make a spiritual bath to cleanse yourself spiritually, to remove any type of negative energy on you, to any spiritual attacks, to bring forth prosperity. And so different ways you can make a spirit bath to cleanse yourself, right?
Right.
And so that's all we doing. We doing the same thing y'all doing. You burn frankincense and myrrh in the church, right? Or I know the Catholics do.
Yeah.
So if you burn frankincense and myrrh, that's a plant. That's a herb.
Right.
And it's an antiseptic herb, antimicrobial plant, anti-inflammatory plant. You see, tree where you take the sap, Rob, from the boswellia tree. You take the sap, and it turns into the rock, right? So that's what they burn, and they burn the tree sap. But you burn it for purification. See what I'm saying? So why we can't do that? What's the difference? So I'm saying, hell, the wise men brought Jesus herbs. He brought it. They brought him herbs.
That's the story. That's the story they told us. Right.
That's
That's
the
right.
story. I didn't write this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I didn't make it up. I'm just telling you what you told me, and I just heard it, and I said, oh shit, that's that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
you know
Mhm.
why when we do it is demonized. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? But all
And
of that,
yeah, and
yeah,
I see what you mean because you meeting the people really where they at. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
yeah,
diverting, telling you nothing different. Go this way, go this way. Hey, you got your Bible tell you keep your temple clean. That's what you're supposed to
yeah.
do. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I
Right,
said.
right, right,
That's what I
right,
said. That's
right,
it. God in Genesis chapter 1, 28 to 29, I think it was. It
mm,
says like, yo, every herb, and every fruit of its kind, and each of the yielding seed will be for man's meat.
yes, yes, sir. That's what it
That
says.
man's meat.
Hmm.
So if the fruits and vegetables is meat,
Hmm.
then what you eating is not meat. I'm eating meat. You eating animal flesh,
Right, that's right.
right? You cut it, that shit bleed. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? You got to rip the fur off. You got to do all this stuff. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? So you eat animal flesh. I eat meat.
right.
And I did, and again, I ain't write this. This is in your book. I didn't, I didn't write that.
Damn, I ain't even think about it like that's real. And it says every herb that bears seeds you can indulge. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Right,
Yep,
right. So that goes back to make me think now as you speaking. I guess I'm learning as you speaking, but it just got my mind thinking about when you said that passage and what I just said. I just thinking about the GMO stuff they got with no seeds. You know what
that's
I'm saying?
right.
We really shouldn't be eating it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's for a spiritual reason and a physical reason. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So
Right.
you violating
Mm,
God. You violating God. You see what I'm saying? You violating the laws of nature, and you suffer from it, right? So they say we perish from lack of knowledge, right? Or we suffer
mm,
from lack of knowledge, right? So
mhm.
we see why. You see, we have so much sicknesses because we're not even following the simple commandments that was given to us, you know. And if that's and I'm saying, and I ain't a Bible dumper, but I'm just saying,
Right.
if that's what it says, and if we want to live that way,
Mm-hmm.
then those things are practical. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So I will follow that because I mean, shit, it's practical. It makes sense to me,
That's right.
right? It will make sense why God said he only dwelling with man for what he said 120 years. You
Mm.
know what I mean? So we supposed to be, if we was to follow that, technically we supposed to be on the planet for 120 years. You
And
know what
you
I'm saying?
don't see nobody living long like that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Right.
Life expectancy about 70 something years old now. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you say, he live a good life. No, not really. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Not if right. And if you look at the science,
Yeah,
I was supposed to. Right. Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
In signs of it, he was still a baby. You know?
Right. Right. So I wanna go into your business. So you launched Sacred Roots in 2012. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
2012.
okay. So you starting at a Charleston flea market, because I heard you say this before opening
Yeah.
your storefront. So what's something the brick and mortar space lets you do for people? Now I kind of know how you're gonna answer this, but I just want to hear what you want to say that 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 do for people that an online store can't.
So when people can come to you, they can feel you. You know what I'm saying? They can feel you energetically. You know what I mean? We can feed off of each other. Um, and so you're able to connect with them in a way that you know, people online stores, you know, yeah, you can get an email. I get emails all the time, you
Right,
know, now and it's just and I'll answer it. You know, it's just I'll answer your question. There's no feeling, there's no nothing. It's just, hey, what can I take for high blood pressure? Oh, hey, take da 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 da. You
right,
know,
right,
thank you for your support. That's the best I got because there's no feeling behind that. Um, but I still love it because obviously shout out to all my online supporters too.
oh
Um,
yeah,
but
definitely.
definitely a storefront gives that connection that you can get, and that's one of an elder by the name of Mr. Tom. Back in downtown Charleston, he had a herbal store called Book Herbs and Spices. And I used to go down there a lot, get my herbs, and talk with him, ask him questions, and then I would just sit and just watch how he interact with his customers, and that was inspiring to me because I'm like, damn man, they look up to him like he was our Dr. Sabi back then, he
Right, right,
retired now, but he was our Dr. Sabi in Charleston. It's like, yo, this man like inspiring, like to see people come from all over, all races, whatever. Just yo, what can I do for this? What could I do for that? You
right.
know, just real personal with the people. You know what I'm saying? So I always told myself, I said, yo, I won't be like that. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
want to be able to be real personal and comfortable with the people, so they can feel comfortable enough to tell me, hey, this what I got going on, because a lot of herbalists or just healers in general, they
Right,
don't understand like, yo, these people in a sense giving up kind of like a part of their life to
right.
you.
That's right.
You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? They trusting you. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Right.
And you shouldn't take that for granted. You know what I mean? That's a big thing when they say, yo, I got cancer. What can you do for me? Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? That's like,
That's major.
you yeah, it's major, man. And you can't even think about the money. Like, if you thinking about the money at that point, it's like, yo, nah, this ain't for you.
Ain't
Because
right. You're not doing it in the right spirit.
nah, the first thing should be on your mind, like, damn, all right, cancer, all right, boom, that's what you got first thing. You gotta change your diet, B, you gotta da da da, da, you gotta, we worry about that later, but this is what you need to do. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
So yeah, man, like it's a different energy, of
right.
course.
And we do appreciate you online, because I got
Man,
my
appreciate that, bro.
I got my clean me out, you know what I'm saying, and my sea
No
moss.
doubt.
So I ain't just talking to the brother now, you know what I'm saying? We using the herbs and we supporting our people, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Oh,
Lots of love.
most definitely, brother, most definitely. I got to do it like that because I'm trying to. I want to live a long time too. I want to
Right,
be able
right.
to tell my seeds and my grandkids. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Give them the same information that you give it. You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? And, you know, so definitely we definitely appreciate you, brother. So so
Likewise.
so walk us through a day through the shop, man. What tell me with all these herbs, man, this got to be what does quality control look for like 200 herbs, man? I know that's got to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got man, I got a team now, so I got to shout out Octavia, I got to shout out Barbara, you know what I'm saying? Because I can't do it. And I got to even shout out Renee, man. She out in Charlotte, but she handles like all the social media, the marketing, and all that
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that's what I'm at in Charlotte, most definitely. Okay,
Yeah.
right,
So yeah, so I got a team, man. It ain't just me, but
right,
and my wife at the house, man. She do all the capsules for me too. So
right.
she the one she do the capsule. So I got a team. You know what I mean? So it's just more so, and I love it because it's like, yo, we got this. You just deal with teaching, or I'm writing a book. It's just things that I can do where I can do consultations. I can, you know what I mean, where I don't have to. I can go in the forest. You know what I mean? It's things that I can do kind of freely because I got a team. But
Did you teach your team or did they already
yeah,
come?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely teach them. They still learning and learning, and hell, they teaching me. Like, you know what I'm
right,
saying?
always
Like,
right. Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
man. So they teaching me too. But yeah, it's. I mean, first thing first, you're gonna come in. You're gonna just get the energy right for the shop, man. You're gonna sage, or you're gonna burn some frankincense. You're gonna do something just to get the
Mm,
shop right, spiritually aligned.
yes, sir.
Um, Shit, I talk to the plants, you know what I'm saying? I talk to the herbs, I ain't gonna lie, I talk to, hey, look here, like, today, like, as these people come in,
Mm.
point, raise your hand if, you know what I'm saying? Raise your hand if you for them or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
You
Um,
can see that in your energy. Which one you need to
oh yeah, oh
right. Oh,
yeah.
that's
Because
cold.
sometimes, it's easy to, and I got it labeled, you know what I mean? But sometimes, just because the herb is good for high blood pressure, that don't mean
Right.
that's for that particular person. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
that's heavy.
So,
That's heavy.
so once you start hearing, everything they got going on, what's going on, you might switch up, be like, nah, you don't need this one, you need this one. So this
Right.
going to help with what your issue is. You know what I'm saying? Because you got maybe rooted issues that's causing this offset to this. You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
kind of like alchemy, man. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And
It's
what you're saying is true because I even read your reviews at Google because you got superior. I mean, this brother, man, 4.9, 5.0. I'm telling you, brother, this brother, you know what I'm saying? You looking for yourself. Y'all can see. But in your reviews, I saw people say within 5 minutes of them coming into the shop, you already diagnosed them, let them know what they need. They walking out, you know what I'm saying? And they got really good. So what you saying, bro, that's most he telling the truth because I mean he got the testimonies to prove it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I ain't gonna keep it too long, brother. But I appreciate you coming up. But before we go, I still wanna tell where can people find you and what's the rhythm of your week like far as the classes, the consultations, the community nights. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so we do the community night, like we call sacred health classes. We do that once a month, and no, it's always going to be on a Saturday evening, like 6:30 to about 8:30, depending on the questions and just just congregating afterwards, right? But so we do the sacred health classes, and it could be on various topics. I just spirit just to tell me a topic like, yo, we're gonna talk about high blood pressure this month, or we're gonna talk about diabetes this month, or sometimes I feel like, yo, we're gonna do a medicine making class I'm gonna provide everything, and we're gonna teach y'all how to make medicine. Sometimes we're gonna do herb walks. We're gonna do herb walks, and I'm gonna show you these plants in their natural form, in their natural environment. So if you see them, you ain't gotta come to Sacred Roots. Go pick the plant yourself and make the medicine. Um, so we do that once a month just for the community, man, because I think that's important. To give back into nature and just natural and just holistic health in general. Like, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, right, right,
Um,
right.
and just and so, because a lot of people don't know, and that's the importance of having these different topics once a month because you go to a doctor, the
Mm-hmm.
doctor tell you got diatrictable possible or whatever shit, right? And then you just nod your head like, oh, okay, I'll take this. You ain't asking no damn questions. You don't know nothing. You know what I mean?
Right,
So I feel like it's like it says my job, you know what I'm saying, to say, hey, this is what this is.
mm-hmm.
This is what this ain't.
Right.
This is how you heal this. This what you don't eat. Just what you should eat. Like, you know what I mean? So we just to help the community understand what
Right.
this particular ailment or whatever is. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
even those nature walks that you do. I mean, besides, I heard I saw a video with Queen of Fools speaking about a guy named Dr. John Moore who used to walk through Harlem, take him through New York, pointing out the different, taking on herbal walks. And I said, you are actually the only brother besides him that I've seen, because got a few videos with him online, but you're the first brother that I've seen. But then that's important too, because you educating the people on. I mean, they may be on their own walk. People may enjoy nature, a hike or something, and they come across that. And, oh, dang,
Yeah.
Khet Waas told me about this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Something they can collect, like you said, the mullein, the burdock root, all these things grow in our area. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And you never know, shit. You might get stuck in the forest. How you go? You got to be able to survive at least be able to eat good while you waiting on help or something. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
So,
right.
man,
Most definitely. So, like I said, brother, hey, I appreciate you coming on, man. You know what I'm saying? I
thank
know
you, bro.
hey, man, I know you're a busy guy, but like I said, we've been working it out, but we made it happen. And I would definitely love, we coming into the winter season where people are getting sick. I would definitely love to have you back later on if you got any free time to chop it
Yeah,
up and inform us, tell us what we need to do to be prepared for this winter season. You know what I'm saying? Get ourselves prepared,
yeah.
and just to keep ourselves up through this winter season, you know what I mean, into the next. And like once again, like I said, I appreciate your time, brother. I
Appreciate
appreciate
having me, God.
and your dedication to our people, brother. That's number one. I appreciate, and I just want to
Okay. Every time, bro.
yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. And like I always do on this show, I'm gonna give you the last word, family.
Yeah, man. So, blessed love to everybody. Your health is sacred, man. Pretty much your health is sacred. That is the only thing on this planet um that is sacred. And I mean by that is like, because you're gonna need that in order to, how can I say? You need that in order to find your path, right? You know what I mean? Whatever your purpose is in life, you
Right.
need help to do it. Like that's just simple as that. You can't. That's to enjoy the quality of life. It's not necessarily the quantity all the time, but the quality of your life depends on your health. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it sacred. That's why we say your health is sacred. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, man. So salute to everybody. Y'all can find me on Instagram at Khet Waas 9, sacred roots sacred underscore roots. And yeah, man, sacredroots.com. So blessed love to everybody. Shout out to good brother Eddie. So, appreciate you for having me too, King.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm gonna put all the information under the video so you can reach out. Make sure I put it on the video or the ticker on the video so y'all can reach out too. And like I said, once again, I appreciate you, Khet Waas Hutip. Hey, appreciate the information, master teaching. We'll catch you next time.
All right, peace, King. Appreciate it.
Peace.